The Fisherman and His Wife. Once upon a time, there was a fisherman and his wife who lived together in a small hovel near the sea. The fisherman went out every day to fish, and he would spend long hours at sea. One day, while he was fishing, he looked into the clear water and saw his fishing line sink deep down into the water. When he pulled it back up, he found a large flounder on the line. The flounder spoke to him and said, "Please spare my life. I'm not just any ordinary flounder, I'm actually a prince who was cursed. Put me back in the water and let me swim away." The fisherman replied, "You don't need to say much. If a flounder can speak, I certainly won't harm it. I'll put you back in the water." So he put the flounder back into the sea, and the flounder swam away, leaving a long trail behind him. The fisherman returned to his wife in their hovel and told her about the flounder he had caught. He said that the flounder had revealed himself as a cursed prince and that he had let him go. "Did you make a wish?" his wife asked him. The fisherman replied that he hadn't made a wish because he didn't know what to wish for. "That's terrible," his wife said. "Living in this small, smelly pigsty piss-pot hovel isn't a good life. Go back to the sea and wish for a nice little cottage for us." The fisherman was hesitant, but he eventually went back to the sea. When he arrived, the sea was yellow and green, and he stood at the water's edge and said, "Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, poor Ilsebil, will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today." There came the fish swimming and said, "What does she want now?" "Ah," said the man, "I caught you. Now my wife said I should have made a wish. She can't live in a chamber pot anymore, she would like to have a hut." "Just go there," said the fish, "she's already there." So the man went there, and his wife stood in a hut at the door and said to him, "Come on in, see, that's much better now." And there was a living room and a bedroom and a kitchen in it, and behind it was a small garden with all sorts of vegetables and a courtyard where there were chickens and ducks. "Ah," said the man, "now we will live happily." "Yes," said the wife, "we will enjoy it." So it went on for about 8 or 14 days, and then the wife said, "Man, the hut is too small for me, the courtyard and garden are too small, I want to live in a big stone castle." "Go to the fish, he will get us a castle." "Ah, wife," said the man, "the fish gave us the hut first, I can't come back so soon, it might upset the fish." "Never mind," said the wife, "he can do it very well, and he likes to do it, you just go." So the man went, and his heart was heavy. But when he came to the sea, the water was entirely purple and dark blue, yet still, he stood there and said, "Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, modest Ilsebil, will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today." "Nah. What does she want then?" said the flounder. "Ah," said the man, very sad, "my wife wants to live in a stone castle." "Go ahead, she's standing at the door," said the flounder. The man went there and his wife was standing in front of a great palace. "Oh man," she said, "how beautiful it is." They went in together and there were so many servants, and the walls were all white, and there were golden chairs and tables in the living room, and behind the castle there was a garden and a forest, about half a mile long, where there were deer, roe deer, and hares, and on the yard, cowsheds and horse stables. "Oh," said the man, "now we want to stay in this beautiful castle and be content." "We'll think about it," said the wife, "and sleep on it." They went to bed. The next morning the wife woke up, as she did every day, and poked her husband with her elbow and said, "Man, get up, we have to become king over all the land." "Oh, wife," said the man, "what do we want to become king for?" "I don't want to be king." "Then I want to be king," said the wife. "Oh, wife," said the man, "how can you be king? The flounder might not like that." "Man," said the wife, "go straight to him, I have to be king." So the man went and was very sad that his wife wanted to become king. And when he came to the sea, it was all black and the water surged up from below. He stood there and said, "Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, Royal Ilsebil, will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today." "Nah, what does she want?" said the flounder. Oh, said the man, my wife wants to become king. Go to her then, she's already there, said the flounder. The man went there, and when he arrived at the palace, there were so many soldiers and drums and trumpets, and his wife was sitting on a high throne made of gold and diamonds, wearing a large golden crown on her head, and on both sides of her were 6 maids, each one slightly shorter than the other. Oh, said the man, are you a king now? Yes, she said, I am king. And after he had looked at her for a while, he said, Oh, wife, how beautiful it looks. Now that you're king, we don't want to wish for anything else. No, husband, she said, I can't stand it any longer, being a king is not enough, now I must become an emperor. Oh, wife, said the man, why do you want to become an emperor? Husband, she said, go to the flounder, I want to be an emperor. Oh, wife, said the man, the flounder can't do that, I can't tell him that. I am king, said the wife, and you are my husband, go quickly. So the man went away, and as he walked, he thought, this is not going well, emperor is too outrageous, the flounder will eventually get tired. He arrived at the sea, the water was black and thick, and a gust of wind blew over it so quickly that it became choppy. He stood there and said, Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, Queen Ilsebil will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today. Nah, what does she want then? Said the flounder. Ah, he said, my wife wants to become emperor. Go there, said the flounder, she is already that. So the man went there, and when he arrived, his wife was sitting on a very high throne made of a piece of gold, and she had a large crown on her head that was 2 ells high. On either side of her stood the attendants, always one shorter than the other, from the tallest giant to the smallest dwarf, who was as small as my little finger. Before her stood so many princes and counts that the man went underneath and said, Wife, are you now emperor? Go, she said, I am emperor. Ah, said the man and looked at her closely, Wife, how beautiful it is that you are emperor. Husband, she said, why are you standing there? Now that I am emperor, I want to become pope as well. Ah, wife, said the man, why do you want to become pope? Pope is only one in Christendom. Husband, she said, I must become pope today. No, wife, he replied, the flounder cannot make you pope. It won't work. Man, you idiot. She said, if he can make me emperor, he can make me pope too. Go right away. So the man went there, and he was so frightened that his knees and calves were shaking. Outside, the wind was blowing, and the water was churning as if boiling. The ships were in distress, dancing and leaping on the waves, but in the middle of the sky, it was still a little blue. However, on the sides, it was turning as red as a heavy thunderstorm. The man stood there, completely lost, and said, Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, Emperor Ilsebil, will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today. Nah, what does she want? Said the flounder. Oh, said the man, my wife wants to become pope. Go home, said the flounder, she is already that. So he went home, and when he arrived, his wife was sitting on a throne that was 2 miles high. She had 3 great crowns on her head, and around her there was so much spiritual pomp and splendor. Beside her stood 2 rows of lights, the largest of which was as thick and as tall as the biggest tower, down to the tiniest kitchen candle. Wife, said the man, and looked at her carefully, are you now pope? Yes, she said, I am pope. Oh wife, said the man, what good is that? Now that you are pope, you cannot become anything else. I will think about that, said the wife. With that they went to bed, but the wife was not content. Her greediness would not let her sleep. She kept thinking about what else she could become. When the sun began to rise, she said, Ha! I can't stand it any longer. When I see the sun and the moon rise, I can't help wanting to do the same. I must become like the highest. This made her so angry that she shook her husband and said, Husband, go to the flounder at once and tell him I want to become like the highest. The man was frightened and fell out of bed. Oh wife, he said, the flounder cannot do that. He can make emperors and popes, but he cannot make anyone higher than the highest. Go back to sleep. No, she said, I cannot sleep until I have become like the highest. Go to the flounder at once. This made the man so frightened that he went outside. The storm was raging so fiercely that he could hardly stand up. All around him the trees and rocks were being swept away, and the sky was completely dark. Thunder and lightning filled the air, and the sea rose up in black waves as high as mountains, with white crests of foam on top. He cried out, Manji, Manji, hear my plea. Flounder, flounder in the sea. My wife, Pope Ilsebil, will have her own way. Even if I don't like it today. Nah, what does she want then? Said the flounder. Oh, he said, she wants to become like the highest. Go on then, said the flounder, she's already back in her pigsty pisspot. And there they still sit today.